Hi friends, today we're going to learn Mishna number 17 in the first chapter of Pirkei Avot. Rabban Gamliel's son Shimon would say, "All my life I was raised among wise men, and I learned that the finest quality is silence. Learning Torah is not the main thing. The main thing is doing what the Torah commands. Too much talk leads to sin." What a complicated Mishnah. I had to look through a lot of explanations to really understand what this Mishnah is trying to say. The first explanation I found was in the book of Rabbi Aryeh Levin. And Rabbi Aryeh Levin brings two explanations. The first one is Rav Ovadia of Bartenor's explanation. He says when you add on things that aren't necessary, it will make you sin. For example, Eve in the Garden of Eden, God commanded Adam and Eve, "From all the trees of the garden you shall eat, but from the tree of knowledge that is mixed with good and evil, you shouldn't eat, because the day you eat from it, you'll die." Eve meets the snake. So, God said not to eat from all the trees of the garden. No, that's not what he said. He said you can eat from all the trees of the garden. Just that tree you can't touch and you can't eat from, because the day you touch it, you'll die. No, you won't die. God just didn't want you to eat from the tree of good and bad, because he didn't want you to have the knowledge of good and bad, because he knows that when you eat from the tree of good and bad, you'll live forever, and that's what he didn't want. Really? We won't die if I touch the tree? And Eve touched the tree. And according to the commentaries, she saw she didn't die. Well, if I don't die from touching it, maybe I'll taste the fruit. Delicious. What? I'm naked! What kind of prank is this? Where are my clothes? I'm naked! Eve, if you wouldn't have added on what God said and wouldn't have said that you can't touch the tree, all this wouldn't have happened to you. Adding on extra text or extra words just makes us sin. The second explanation I saw in Rabbi Aryeh Levin's book is that speech is what differentiates us from animals. Animals don't speak and they live just fine. So we can also live just fine not speaking. So the speech is what makes us more human, and therefore we should make sure that when we speak, our speech elevates us to a more human status, to something more spiritual and holy. Wait a second, are you trying to say that I don't speak? Are you trying to say that I don't speak to my fellow sheep? Animals are less smart than humans? That's not what I meant to say. You're taking what I said out of context. You're saying that just because you don't understand what we're saying, we don't communicate with each other. Well, let me tell you something. That's not what I meant to say. See what I mean? I spoke too much, and you're just taking what I said out of context. So I'm not gonna even answer that. Which leads us to the third explanation. When should we not speak, according to Rav Ovadia's explanation, is when we're in an argument. And that's when we should hold back our tongue. On the 89th page of Chulin Tractate, it says, "The world stands because of the people that hold their tongue in the middle of an argument." And I had a great example happen to me this week. My 4-year-old, who's trying to be more independent, wanted to pour himself a cup of chocolate milk. But it was really big and he didn't stop himself on time and all the chocolate milk spilled on the table and everywhere on the floor. And I got really upset. But I had just learned that Mishna, and the explanation that Rav Ovadia said that you have to hold your tongue back in the middle of a fight. So instead of saying anything, I just gave him a towel. There's a towel to wipe it up. And I left the room. But as it says in the Mishnah, learning Torah isn't the main thing. The main thing is doing what the Torah commands. So if the Torah commands too much chalk leads to sin, then I'll just